Today's guest is Kate Tselios, Director of Operations with Visiting Angels.
Kate's going to be sharing with us some of her wisdom from her years of experience working with the aging population.
Hi, it's nice to see you guys.
Hi.
Nice to see
Thanks
you.
for having me.
Oh, yeah. We're happy to have you. You're watching A3 Aging Ann Arbor, where we talk about aging and what you need to know. I'm Faye Molitor.
And I'm Sheila Doden.
Welcome to the show. So welcome to A3 Aging Ann Arbor. We are here with Kate Tselios, the Director of Operations at Visiting Angels.
Visiting Angels.
Yes, and you are like doing exactly what we do.
Absolutely. Same exact thing.
But you've worked with the aging population for like a bunch of years
I have.
in numerous settings. So, you know, we are super interested to hear all of your experiences and what you've done.
Yeah, absolutely. I started with the aging population right out of college. So I finished my degree at Michigan State with an internship at the Ann Arbor Senior Center and
that's cool.
worked for them as a program assistant doing more recreation things.
Yeah.
They hired me in after I graduated, so I was a program coordinator there for a while. And then I received an amazing opportunity as the executive director of the Dexter Senior Center.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
I got to stay really in senior recreation,
Yeah.
which was nonprofit world, so different than home care,
Yeah.
but was a great experience. I ran Meals on Wheels in that area.
Oh, that's great.
And just sort of fell in love with working with seniors.
Yeah.
It was never my plan. My plan was to work with kids.
Isn't that funny how
so
life takes you a whole nother direction?
I did wind up on the
Yeah.
other end of the spectrum here, but
That
it's
is-
been amazing.
That's interesting
Yeah.
because my dad was a public school teacher, and I would always say to him, "Oh, Dad, I'm going to teach, What grade?" I said elementary. And
And now you're at the opposite.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sure.
Yep. So I did that for a while out in Dexter, and then I worked for an assisted living facility
Okay.
here in Ann Arbor
Wow,
as
you
well.
have done
Yeah.
like, all the things.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I was in assisted living for a few years and then made the switch to home care in the same area and fully fell in love with
Sure.
home care services.
Yeah.
The facility world was fine, but I just was much more passionate about helping keep seniors in their home if that's what they wanted to do.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, no, that's huge. It really is. I mean, we do, as you know, the whole spectrum where we help them at home, but we also help them one-on-one in facilities because in all reality, facilities don't always have the staff or the care team on staff to be able to provide the care that's needed to every single resident. And some of the residents have more challenges.
Yeah, when I worked at an assisted living facility, I was their recreation person.
Yeah.
And the reason I thought that would be a good fit is because I said, okay, people aging at home are missing that socialization piece.
Yeah.
And so that felt like I was doing something really helpful. However, I have also learned that is a whole different challenge to
Yeah.
get people to participate in kind of more of a group setting.
Sure.
And a lot of times our seniors want the one-on-one connection. And so we also help support people within facilities because they really want more one-on-one and a relationship established that they're not getting necessarily.
Yeah. They
Some
don't have
are,
the
but
time.
They don't.
The people that work in the facilities don't have the time to they make a connection because they see them every day.
Absolutely.
But they can't make the connection that our type of care can provide.
Exactly.
So, yeah,
and
it
so
is important.
when I got into home care specifically, it just felt right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It felt
That's
like we
good.
were actually making a big difference.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
yeah.
so what does your day look like for you? What do you get to do every day?
Yeah. So as a director, what do I do every day?
Yeah.
So I started as a care coordinator. So I was doing all of the family interaction, assessments, sitting down with families to help them find solutions
Sure.
for whatever they were going through.
Yeah.
You guys know that.
Yeah.
And now as a director, I'm really more so overseeing the direction of the team and the business.
Okay.
So doing more business end of things, because
Yeah.
this is not the nonprofit world, so there is some
Right.
business
No, it
to
isn't.
this.
Yeah.
But then also just making sure that as a business, we are doing things that are supportive to the community and to our clients.
Yeah.
And then just supporting my administrative team is the big thing. You know, they are out doing a lot of the interacting, and I need to make sure that they are happy and enjoying what they do.
Yeah.
Because that spreads, right?
The
Sure.
culture. Yeah.
And the
no,
culture.
The culture's huge.
So
yeah.
that's the big
yeah.
piece that I provide.
I could
is
see that you provide
is
good
company culture.
yeah. Yeah. I could imagine you
Yeah.
would. Yeah, that's great.
Faye and I have had some conversation about, where do we think home care is going to be in the next 10 to 15
Yeah.
years?
It's a big question.
It is a
is.
big question.
Well, I think there needs to be changes at a governmental level to be able to, facilitate the care that we provide.
Sure.
That people shouldn't have to necessarily pay out of pocket for it.
Sure.
So we're hoping
Sure.
that happens.
Yeah, it's I mean, maybe you agree, but right now the way it stands, home care really is kind of a luxury service.
Yeah.
It's not something everyone can afford.
That's
and
true.
it is a little nerve-wracking to think
Yeah.
about getting older and needing
Yeah.
care.
It's really true.
So
Yeah.
it's a tough piece of it.
It
Yeah.
is.
You want to help everyone.
Sure.
Absolutely.
We can't.
You
Oh,
can't.
man.
I mean,
That's true.
we've dabbled a little bit in some of the Medicare Advantage plans.
Okay.
And have
It's super minimal right
contractualized
now.
with them, and it's so minuscule.
It's so minimal. I mean, like it's 17 hours a year or something like that
man.
that Medicare will pay for
Yeah.
our services. So,
I think
and
a
I
lo-
mean, of course we're gonna, help them, but and be there. But we also have to go in and say, okay, Medicare will pay for 17 hours of this, and then the rest of it's out of pocket. And a lot of these folks, they can't.
Can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of home care companies, regardless of what company it is, have looked into trying to do that because our general nature is to try to help as many people as possible. And it just becomes this big obstacle that's not always
Yeah.
feasible for
Yeah.
companies
True.
to tackle. So that's amazing that you guys have even dabbled a little bit to try to make
Yeah.
that happen for people, because
sure.
a lot of
It's-
companies just aren't willing to even tackle it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
we're-
backside of it's kind of a lot of work, but
It is. But I mean,
But
we're
yeah.
fortunate. Our bookkeeper, who has done home
Yes.
care for a number of years, has a lot of
sure.
experience in
Yeah.
multiple facets. Of,
and the corporate
care.
entities offered us platforms, and so I mean we have a really good support system with
That's
our
amazing.
corporate entities, so we're thrilled that way. But you've done this for many years,
Yeah.
in many different aspects.
Yep.
So, what do you know of one person, or can you name maybe a few people that you've known, and I don't mean necessarily in a professional way only, that you feel is aging well, and what are they doing to age well? Why are they aging well? And I think that, this show we want to obviously talk about the challenges of aging and all of the support services that are available. But I also think that it's cool to touch on some of the benefits and privileges of aging. So,
Sure. Yeah. I think working in this industry, you get to meet some incredible people. We all know that. When you say that, I can think of situations or people who we've helped that where the support of home care has really made a major impact, allowing them to age well. And I can think of people I just know in my life that are aging. I don't know if gracefully is the right word, but aging well. And I feel like I'm still always learning, like, what's the secret? I like to know that, but I really think it's having things that you stay passionate about and staying involved in some way, right? Not isolating, not, just staying in your home with no support and trying to get by. I feel like the people who do reach out for care earlier than maybe they need it, that's a huge thing because they're getting socialization, they're getting more activity, they're getting out of their home more often. You use it or lose it type of deal.
Oh man, totally.
Which
totally
isn't
agree with that.
always true, but
Yeah.
it kind of is.
It is kind of.
If you're not interacting with anyone,
Sure.
if you haven't left your house in a month, if you have no one checking in to make sure that you're eating properly or you're getting dressed, I mean, you think depression, anxiety, loneliness, these are things that everyone deals with, but especially our seniors.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So I guess in my experience, the people who have been aging well in place or not are the people who have a good sense of the importance of staying involved. Say it was at an assisted living. The people who attended classes or came to the exercise program, the clients that we work with now in their homes, the ones who get dressed up because their caregiver's coming over.
They get up every day and they get dressed. Yes, I love that.
Or want to just go sit out on the porch rather than watch the same TV program.
Sure.
It doesn't have to be big things, but I feel like those are the people who keep that mindset are the ones who tend to have the most success.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
And the best quality.
And the best quality.
And I think you know, due to the fact that you have an activities director background as well, I'm sure you have seen the difference between folks that are just staying in their apartments and not really interacting, and you know, maybe hook and reeling them.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah.
Not
and
easy.
then seeing the difference, though, I'm sure you've experienced that where they're totally secluded and somewhat hermit type people who do not really want to interact, and
they don't thrive, and health, their health will suffer, right? I mean, a lot of your internal health stems from your mental health or your activity level or things like that. So it absolutely does impact it, and it just can be small things. Doesn't have to be, but I remember a gentleman that he decided he was going to learn to play guitar. He was in his 80s.
Right. I mean,
that's quite a feat for
80. He was physically capable, thankfully. Not everyone is. Could have fingers. That could be difficult with the dexterity and stuff.
Fine motor skills.
So he was capable, but it could be anything. It didn't have to be guitar.
Sure.
But the fact that he wanted to learn something new that he had never done before said a lot about him, and he was doing well, and he had just moved to a facility, and
that's really cool.
But he wanted to tackle something, and I know for me and my I like to have things to look forward to, right? That otherwise,
something
it's pretty mundane, right?
We have run into each other when you're not.
We all have routine. That's a part of
Mm-hmm.
life, but I do feel like you have to have things to look forward to.
Sure.
And I think that's the same for seniors.
For probably even more so. Because a lot of them are alone. They've lost their loved ones. Families have moved out of the area. They don't see them as often. They see them, but they don't see them as often. And they don't know what to do with themselves. And, if they do have early onset dementia, they start separating themselves from their friends, from their neighbors, and they end up just being held up in their homes, basically.
Well, right.
So
we learn we learn all the time, right? With dementia, you typically start to recognize that you're not doing things the way you used to. So rather than address that, it's easier to say, I don't have to do that anymore, or make an excuse for it and hide it from people who might notice. So you naturally will pull back from socializing.
Sure. Yeah.
So I'm wondering, did the gentleman that was learning how to play guitar, did he ever play anything for you?
He did learn some very basics and some chords. I don't know how it went from there, but he definitely started. He was pretty driven to make it happen.
Yeah,
I love that.
I love that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good story. And I was going to ask you what one story that you can think of that would be like one of the most heartfelt moments in all of the time you've worked in the industry and all of the realms that you worked in the industry.
That's a big question.
I know, because everything's heartfelt, isn't it? Yeah.
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 I think that there's heartfelt in like different ways
Yeah.
in this kind of industry.
Yeah.
So the two things that come to mind are one, we had a client that her name was Betty. She lived in her home that meant a lot to her. She did not want to leave her house. It was just really important to her. But she had not left in a very long time. She was really declining. She had been put on hospice and was not doing well. We were able to start with her, and she had the, wherewithal, or she just made the decision to continue to kind of increase her care because it was helping her. And it did start to get to a point where we would show up and she had gotten herself dressed and was trying to interact more and wanted to get outside and wanted to like go on an outing just for a drive. Just really taking advantage of what home care can offer, where some people are like, I don't want the help. You just are here to do a task, and I'm not going to engage. She really dove into the engagement piece.
Yeah.
And
it gave her purpose.
It gave her
Well,
purpose.
and she was lonely.
And which this doesn't happen very often, but she was able to graduate off of hospice.
I love that. Yeah, it doesn't happen very often.
It doesn't, and I know it's not realistic for everyone.
But it's the coolest thing when
But when it does, and yes, inevitably she did decline again. You know, she had health issues. But for a while, she was able to kind of prolong and get some extra quality that she maybe wouldn't have gotten because she was so receptive to care. And that like warms your heart.
That's super cool.
The other one I can think of was a sad situation, but a situation I felt like I made a big difference. And it was for a dad and his daughter was very ill. And so we don't see a lot of younger clients, but every now and then they come around. And she was on hospice and had cancer, and he asked us to help kind of in the last few days. And she did pass away, but we were able to like get there and help. It makes me choked up just thinking about it. Get there and help, and I'll never forget him. You know, I interacted with him for 2-3 days. I don't know, but he was just so grateful, and
I understand.
It was
There's
very
just
heartort in a
people
different
that
way.
Just stay with you. You know, they just
There are the
it's a
clients that
connection that you have, and they just stay with you.
You interact with someone that you just were meant. You kind of feel like you were meant to interact with.
Right, like you were placed there specifically for him. You know, and he felt that because of the relationship that you. In 3 days.
This was years ago.
Yeah.
And I can remember his name and her name. And,
that's so great.
So
yeah.
I don't know. I think there are defining moments along this that home care is hard.
There's no doubt.
Caring for seniors is hard.
Yeah.
It's not always a rewarding career or field.
Yeah.
It's kind of thankless sometimes.
Very much so.
You deal with a lot of issues and headaches and family dynamics, and you've seen all that too, I'm sure.
For sure. Yeah, it all depends on the person. It depends on, the situation.
But there are moments. There are those kind of moments that you're like,
you keep
okay.
This is why I do this.
This is why I do this.
For
And
sure.
I know that sounds kind of corny, but it's true.
But it's true. It is
That's
really true.
that is something that we talk about quite a bit with other people who maybe are looking to do something like this.
Sure.
It is one of the most gratifying things you could ever do. Sometimes somewhat thankless, but in the end, you know, you're doing it because at the end of the day, most days, you know that you've made a difference in somebody else's life. I mean,
I go to work every day knowing that I'm doing something meaningful, even if it's small.
Oh, I agree.
And it's not perfect.
Walking a dog. They can't walk their dog anymore, and they want, Fluffy walked. I mean, that's huge. It just brings me
you
so
have
much
the
joy.
opportunity to do that.
You do.
And you don't think everyone always sees it that way. I'm sure I have weeks where I lose sight of that even.
Well, sure.
But
yeah, I mean, we're human.
You have the opportunity to.
Yeah.
If you really try.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I agree.
You don't get that everywhere.
You know, the other thing that 14 years of doing this with this beautiful woman here, the people we've met in the community doing this, there's just been nothing better. And like you said, Ann Arbor is unlike any other community. And it is we are a village, and we are here supporting, other people.
When I talk about
other professional partners, not just the folks that we're helping.
Yeah, I work in other areas as well, and I talk about Ann Arbor and I say it's a bubble, like it's its own little senior community bubble. But I love it; it's amazing.
And I mean, we've talked. I've not worked outside of. I did for a short stint, but not in this arena, like not with the population. I've only worked in Ann Arbor doing this, and a lot of people that we've come across who've come from other areas, right? We hear that resoundingly from all of them that Ann Arbor is definitely unique in that regard. Yeah. Because we are all here to support each other and help each other, and I know that we all do it for very conscious reasons. And it's a lovely thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's the most nurturing, community, and, just, some of the groups that we, come in contact with, and you happen to be a main contributor to one of the groups that we're
freshly
involved in. But I mean, seriously, you go to what they term marketing groups in certain areas, and everyone is just they're of course telling each other what they do and whatever. In our experiences in this area, that group has become family. And we all lean on each other, and we refer to each other, and we take care of each other so that we can all better take care of the folks in this community.
I've interacted just this week with 3 to 4 quote unquote competitors, right? And you just don't get that everywhere.
Right.
So that makes me so happy for the seniors in this area.
Sure. Yeah. And that's exactly what it should be about.
Because it can be that way.
Yeah. It can. I agree.
So
it is here.
It is that way.
So,
yeah.
It truly is.
I don't think if you ask other people that anyone would really disagree with that. I mean, maybe. Who knows? But
yeah, there's always that, small
I do feel like a lot of us really genuinely feel that way.
For sure.
And that makes me happy for people who get to age here.
Agreed.
Because there's a lot of resource. Lot of resource.
Yeah. I don't live in this community, but I work in this community. And when you work in the community, you're here more than you are at home. So
truly.
It has become my family for sure. And I would absolutely age here.
Yeah.
This is the place to be. Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah. What does aging look like for you, Kate?
Oh.
What does aging look like for you? And how do you think that for you, it would be done well?
Well, I think aging for me is hopefully not ever fighting against it. Right?
I love it. Yeah. That's so true. Yes.
I mean, good answer, Kate. In simple words, right? Don't.
Yeah.
A lot of people are afraid to age or get older, but and working in the aging job realm, it could either scare you, or it can teach you. Yeah. And so it's one of those things that too much information is maybe not a good thing, but I don't think it has to be that way. So I think just understanding that aging doesn't have to be scary and to not fight against it, go with it, use resources available to you, and stay involved and continue to do things. One of the things I live my life by is continue to do things that scare you.
Oh my God.
Continue
I love
to do
that.
things
Yeah.
that make you
Yep.
uncomfortable.
Faye's dad always said that to
My
her.
dad said if it scares you, run towards it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And do things that make you uncomfortable.
Yep.
Do things that challenge you. I think that's a super important way to live no matter what age you
I
are.
agree so much.
So
You
I guess
just
that's what it would look
never-
like for me.
Achievement it doesn't feel the same if it wasn't something that you were a little bit afraid of before you made that
I agree.
or achieved it, whatever it was.
Big,
Yeah.
small, it doesn't
I
matter.
agree.
It could be
Yeah.
as simple as something changing in your daily routine
Sure.
as you're older. Whatever your capability is,
Yeah.
physically, mentally, cognitive, whatever that
Yeah.
looks like, there's still ways
Yeah.
to challenge yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And love. Just
Oh
love.
gosh, love
and
is number one.
have fun.
I agree. Yeah. All of those things help nurture a human being, and the confidence level that you get from all of those things is a big, big thing.
Anyone who knows me knows how intentional I am about my time and my people and my everything. I'm very much a life is short kind of person.
Yeah.
I think working in this industry teaches you that even more.
Yeah.
So yeah,
For
don't
sure.
fight it. Just go with it and
Yeah.
enjoy it.
I love
And
that.
yeah.
Good answer. See how you are like an old soul.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You are. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have heard
Yeah,
that
because
before.
that is definitely not an answer that I expected from you.
No?
It was like a blindside, yeah, a little bit, because
Aw.
it's such a worldly, old soulish thing to say, like a wisdom. You have a wisdom about you, Kate.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, that's good.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Hopefully I keep it that way
Oh,
forever.
I'm
So.
confident you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
very confident you will.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks, you guys.
Aw. So, Kate, thanks so much for joining us today. And how can people learn more?
Yeah, they can visit our website. It's www.visitingangels.com/Ann Arbor, or reach out to our office directly.
We're so happy you were here,
Thank
Kate.
you so much
Thank
for
you.
having me. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it. It was
Well,
fun.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do it again.
Yeah.
So thank you all for joining us today for this episode of Aging Ann Arbor. Please like and subscribe, hit that bell button. And this episode was also sponsored by Senior Helpers Ann Arbor. That was A3 Aging Ann Arbor, your source for all things aging.
Please like, share, and subscribe for more episodes. Thanks for watching.
This episode was sponsored by Senior Helpers of Ann Arbor.